I have a few minutes of time, about 20 minutes of time. So if anyone has any questions or would like to share anything from their experience today, we can open this conversation. Okay,
Hey,
go ahead.
hi. Thank you for answering questions today. I appreciate it. So, how do I want to say this? I believe God is not making mistakes. So, when He created this true narcissistic type personality that seems to be responsible for a lot of abuse, um, the way I see it is these types of personalities are catalysts to our healing. But I don't know if that's accurate to think of it that way. And I noticed that although they may provide healing for us, um, I don't see an opening for them to evolve or receive healing because they're unable to be introspective and to reflect on how they can improve. So I'm just wondering, I guess, two parts. Am I right in assuming that these personalities exist to help us heal? And also, what's in it for them? I guess are my questions. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Well, it's interesting. During the prayer circle channeling, I received guidance that next month's prayer circle is going to be focused on channeling healing energy and prayers for the abusers in relationships. So this month we focused on those being abused, and next month we'll focus on those performing the abuse. I think this is important because, like you shared, there are valuable lessons that are being learned in these types of relationships. So a narcissistic individual, according to my understanding and what I've learned through channeling for different people on both sides of it, because sometimes there are clients who aren't aware that they're behaving in narcissistic ways. So I've worked with both sides of this, is that there is a journey of awakening for all souls, and we're both going on it, whether you're a recipient of abuse or whether you're the performer of abuse. So a person who's struggling with narcissism, oftentimes, yes, they appear to be closed off to receiving anything. But if we look at the history of narcissism and how it develops in a human being, we understand that that child was greatly abused when they were a child. So modern day psychologists aren't exactly sure what the causes of narcissism is, but as I look into reality and as I've worked with individuals, what I've come to the conclusion of is that it usually occurs in the first few years of one's lifetime. So it usually happens in like ages 0 to 3 when the root chakra is forming and when a human being's personal identity is being created. So in the first 3 years of our life, the child is really building that foundation of who I am as an individual. And then it also appears after age 3, so from about, say, 3 to 6 years of age, maybe up to 8 years of age. Then that's the water element, that's the second chakra, and so that's when the child's receiving things. So their identity is supported by their interactions with other people as they move into this water element phase of their psychological development. If a child is in a family in which the parents are cruel or abusive, they're not able to meet the standard emotional needs of a child. So we all have needs. There's nothing wrong with having needs. And unfortunately, this has been something that's been shamed in a lot of Eastern spiritual traditions. We believe we don't need anything. We're completely independent. We isolate ourselves in caves and mountaintops and monasteries. And we forget that actually we're all interdependent. Every part of ourselves is dependent upon everything else. Even spiritual knowledge is dependent upon someone else giving it to you. So even in these spiritual communities where there's a lot of isolation and there's this emphasis that we don't have needs, if we just look at it with common sense, we realize our essential survival and our entire psychological development is based upon interacting with our environment. That includes nature as well as other people. So a narcissistic personality type gets formed during both these phases, the root chakra and the second chakra phase of development up to just before puberty. The child basically learns from their parental interactions that they don't have value, that they're not recognized, they're not accepted, and of course, in some ways, they're not loved. So the narcissistic personality type has a deeply embedded belief to the earliest times of their life that they're not lovable, that their needs don't matter, that no one can provide for them. But needs are essential. We all need things. So when a child mind believes, I'm not worthy to receive, and you couple that with the needs we all have, there becomes this conflict within the child's mind. And this is displayed in adult behavior, where narcissistic personality types, they crave for attention. They try to control other people. They gaslight, they manipulate their minds, they cause confusions through lies and deception. They're very self-centered. They'll do things knowing they're going to hurt other people, and they don't seem to care. So the narcissist is trying to satisfy their own physical and emotional needs, and at the same time there's this conflict because they believe they're not worthy of getting it, that it'll never be given to them. And I believe that conflict inside is demonstrated by these extreme behaviors that this person, this narcissistic personality type, performs. So there's a wounding that happens inside that child's psyche, and it's very, very deep, and it's very early in age, so it's going to be hard to get to. Now, if we look at it this way, we realize the child didn't receive the care, kindness, support, recognition, and love that a healthy human being needs to receive. If we start providing that to a narcissistic individual, they are getting the frequencies of energy that they're truly seeking at those deepest parts of wounding. When we do this, of course, we have to be skillful. We should not sacrifice ourselves during this process. Oftentimes, these needs are best given to a narcissistic personality type outside of an intimate connection, such as through a therapist, through friends, or family members. Because being in an intimate relationship, oftentimes both people are wanting for things, and a narcissistic personality type has a difficult time giving things in a genuine way to somebody else. So in friendships, usually you don't have expectations of your friends, or if you do, they're very basic. Family members, again, basic expectations from what we receive from each other. In the role of a therapist, it's very clearly defined that we are in the role to give to our clients, to give to those receiving from us. In intimate relationships, the problem is that one partner who's with the narcissistic individual, they want to receive their emotional needs. But the narcissistic individual believes, I don't have love. I've never gotten love. So how can I give love? The narcissistic personality type craves attention, craves love, craves recognition because of the deep wounding inside themselves. So they don't have a lot to give. They deep in their psyche don't believe they're worthy of love. They don't believe they're good people. Now, with this said, if you told this to a narcissistic personality type, they would deny it. Because again, that's interpreted as shame. If I would tell a person with narcissistic personality disorder that you don't believe you're lovable, they would feel horrible inside because that's like the worst insult to someone. And so the narcissist will deny it completely because the narcissistic individual has learned how to survive in the human experience by cutting off their shame. So as a young child, they felt shame, rejection, unworthiness, and psychologically and emotionally, a human being can't survive like that. There's been lots of psychological experiments that have shown that the emotional health of a human being is more important than their physical nutritional health. There's been animal studies. When I was in college, I learned of an animal study where they had a robotic gorilla, and they tried to use that robotic gorilla with a fake breast and nipple, being able to distribute real gorilla breast milk to an infant gorilla. So it had like a cold steel body frame with fur over it, but it wasn't a real living gorilla. And that animal, even though it's getting the same amount of food as another baby gorilla being nurtured by a real human gorilla mother, the child with the fake gorilla was suffering and its body was shriveling up. So it was getting the same nutrition physically, identical to the gorilla being naturally mothered, but it wasn't getting the emotion. It wasn't getting the frequencies of feeling. Some theorized, well, maybe it's the body temperature of the mother, and so they put a heating pad inside of that gorilla's fake body, and it still wasn't enough. So we all know how powerful emotion is. Even music, of course, like happy emotional music, help plants grow better. It helps healing. It helps animal behavior. There's lots of evidence that emotion is necessary for life. So if you have a young child that's learned, I'm not worthy of receiving attention, care, and love, they're not receiving emotion, and they will die. They will physically get sick. They will manifest physical illnesses, and they will emotionally feel dead inside. So as a result, they have to cut off that part of themselves that has been told by the world, you're not good enough to receive emotion. So the narcissistic individual as an adult is walking around the world in complete denial of those deepest beliefs. But those deepest beliefs of shame are influencing all or many of the decisions a narcissist makes. All the parts of our psyche are influencing us. So the narcissist believes, I've never gotten love, I'm not worthy of love, no one will love me, but they crave it. And they don't know why they crave it, and they can't perceive that they're craving it. They think there's nothing wrong with me because they've actually cut off their awareness of their lower chakras, usually the lower 2 chakras, because that's where the trauma is embedded. A narcissist will usually only be able to feel, and I've worked with narcissistic individuals, and I've talked with them. They don't know they're narcissistic, but as I work with them, I can see the pieces. Because a lot of narcissistic individuals have problems in their lives. They don't understand why they're having problems. They're very sincere, and they're trying to awaken. But any knowledge you give them still gets filtered through their psyche. And so oftentimes they're not able to receive certain pieces of knowledge if it means they have to be vulnerable. If they have to look at their own shortcomings, if they have to start to look at the wounded parts themselves to heal. So often a narcissistic individual will not be able to feel the emotion of the chakras beneath their 3rd chakra. That's what I've found as I've worked with individuals, and I've just walked around the world interacting with people and observing people. So I'm very much living in an energetic reality. I feel everything, and I can feel, someone's layers of their energy body. And so a narcissist has as their foundation of their personality the 3rd chakra, not the root chakra like a healthy individual has. When we get blockages, right, the energy flow reduces. And if we shut off a part of our psychological trauma, we shut down that chakra, and we're not aware of it. It's still functioning. You can't actually turn off a chakra. You can't shut it or close it completely. But you can reduce its awareness in your experience. So a narcissistic individual feels like they're 3rd chakra beings, which is why the manifestation teachings and trying to be charismatic and influential and have confidence are dominated by narcissistic individuals. They love these teachings because the foundation of themselves is their 3rd chakra, and their entirety of their purpose is, I want people to recognize me. I want to be seen. I want my light to be seen. I want to manifest things. And if I can just manifest things, it'll fix all the problems in my life. And so they're focused on 3rd chakra, heat, fire, that solar plexus energy. So a lot of narcissists, they focus on manifestation, and they believe that's my solution. Now, of course, my understanding is that we need to understand all the chakras. So if you're a healthy individual, you're still going to want to study manifestation for the purpose that it has, but you're not going to exaggerate the importance of just one aspect of your human reality. Being self-focused on creating what you want is very much 3rd chakra based, and that's not the solution to all your problems. Otherwise, you won't be receiving the care and love and support of people, which is based in your 2nd chakra. So a narcissistic individual has their 3rd chakra as the foundation of their personality, and most of the time during the day, they're focused on getting what they want. Now, because a narcissistic person does not give care and nurture or security and safety, through their personality displays, through their behavior, they're not going to be able to sustain a relationship. Someone in a relationship with a narcissistic individual wants to exchange all the emotional energies, and they want to feel cared and loved from that 2nd chakra exchange. But a narcissistic individual can't express that because they believe, I don't have any care to give because I was never given care. I never felt what it was like, and so therefore I can't give it to someone else. So in a relationship, usually the partner with the narcissist feels like they're not giving to me, they're not recognizing me, they're not taking care of my needs. The narcissist is unable to because they've shut down their own chakras because they learned they can't have that frequency. It didn't come from their parents or their surroundings. And it was too painful, so they shut off all awareness. They can't live in a family realizing I don't matter. So they shut it off and they believe I'm the most important person in the world. That energetic exchange gets shut down. Same with the root chakra. It's all about security, connection, trust, confidence. A narcissistic individual may display confidence, like a charismatic personality, but it's not real confidence. It's not based in reality. A lot of narcissists will be in denial of the problems they're having in their life. And everything is perfect and everything is good and just focus on the positive. They love those teachings. But there's a reality. You can't change your experience unless you do the shadow work also. Unless you go in and realize what parts of me are feeling shame and are afraid and are limited and are not trusting. What parts of me have been wounded. So in a relationship with a narcissist, the one person will not feel safe. The narcissist feels fine. At least they display that they feel fine, but they feel very insecure, but they don't display it. But they can't give security to someone else. The narcissist lies, cheats, steals, does whatever they want. They drop the ball all the time when someone depends upon them. They're very self-focused. And it's not by their intention, it's because of their trauma and the conditioning in their psyche. Because ultimately, every human being wants healthy relationships, but the narcissist has difficulty knowing what that is because they've shut off the lower part of their emotional energy system, and therefore those qualities of their psyche based upon connection and sharing. So that's like a very complex explanation, but that's kind of the map that I built about how it works. So looking at it this way, because what you asked is, can a narcissist actually receive from us? It seems like they can't. Well, they believe inside themselves they're not worthy to because they never got what they needed growing up. But if we look at the design, we realize they still need these things. If they're shown care, if they're shown love, then at least you're putting in their reality the frequency that they're craving. And they may never open up to it during a lifetime. But you're still giving them something that is based on the design of what they need and will benefit from. Now, like I said, I think that in a romantic relationship, working with or being with a narcissist is extremely difficult. I don't recommend it. I think oftentimes the person with the narcissist is suffering way too much because of just the nature of exchange in that type of dynamic. The healthier psyche, which, we'll just call it that because everybody has their reasons for attracting a relationship with a narcissist, which includes the healing that it requires. But the healthier non-narcissistic psyche is going to be damaged even more being in a relationship with a narcissistic human being. So in intimacy, I reckon we don't choose that. I reckon we try to find healthier, stable, more nurturing relationships. So I would not encourage anyone to stay in a narcissistic relationship. I think the risk of damage is far too great. I think sometimes people have an illusion that I can help this person, heal this person, fix this person. But in nearly every case, damage is going to be caused because it's not a healthy dynamic. The narcissistic person has literally cut off awareness of the lower chakras and therefore not able to give these energies that are needed from the healthier person in the relationship. So we can choose our romantic relationships. We can't choose our family. You have a family, your soul chose it, but it appears like it's given to you as a human being, like you're stuck with it. So what you can do in these relationships is be intelligent and realize that your needs will most likely never be met by a narcissist. Maybe your higher chakra needs, like your third chakra needs, will be met, because the narcissist might want to be successful, and then you can experience that success with them. But in terms of the lower two chakras, you're most likely never going to get those met. And even if you are getting your higher emotional needs met, like you're with a confident parent and it feels really good and they're successful and you're benefiting from it, you'll still notice signs that their success is for themselves. And usually it's a craving that's never satisfied. And the narcissist doesn't know why. It's because they're not able to feel the lower energies that make them feel whole and complete as a human being. So they're always wanting more wealth, more success, more recognition, more fame. It's never enough. So in a family, we learn how to navigate it. In friendship, we learn how to navigate it. We don't need to isolate ourselves or divide ourselves away from our family members or our friends. we can learn how to navigate it. And so we learn not to expect certain things from a narcissist. If someone shows up as a liar in our life, we can't expect them to be honest with us. That's just who they're showing themselves to be. It's not a judgment against them. It's just how they are appearing in our reality. If you're a liar, you're not trustworthy, so I shouldn't trust you. Not because I don't love you, not because I don't, accept you for being who you are. I accept you. But if you're a liar, liars shouldn't be trusted. They can't be trusted because lies are false, and you can only align with truth. We all perceive things, we all agree on truth. So a lot of narcissists lie. So you realize, never trust a narcissist. But you can still be kind and caring. If you're at a family gathering, for example, you don't have to try to teach the narcissist something or heal the narcissist or pray and hope that they're going to give you some sort of nurturing or honesty that they're unable to give you. That's where the wisdom comes in as we interact with this type of personality. We don't have expectations that someone can do something they're not able to do. It's like, could you expect your dog to fly? Of course not. Your dog biologically cannot fly. So you don't expect it to fly. Would you expect a narcissist to be honest? No. Unless it's serving their own needs. Right? But even that level of honesty, again, it all gets contaminated because if you try to press issues, you'll realize it's a selfish honesty. They'll tell you what benefits them. They'll skew their story to benefit them. So it's a manipulative type of honesty. So you don't expect a dog to fly. You don't expect a liar to tell the truth. Right? It's just how it is. So now a lot of times people who have these sorts of conditions, if they notice you changing their behavior, they'll try to guilt you and keep tricking you and trapping you. So they'll say, you're the liar. They'll try and gaslight you. They'll turn the story around. They'll make you feel guilty and bad for not trusting them. They'll make you feel ashamed of yourself. So there's a lot of deep traps. And so we have to be aware, if the person's demonstrating these characteristics, that's who they are right now. And unless they're doing incredibly deep inner work, going to the beginning of their life story, they're most likely not going to change who they are. Only by the grace of God or some massive soul level aligned experience could they have a wake up. In most cases with narcissism, I don't know the exact number, but I know it's an extremely small percentage, like maybe 2% or 5% at most, of narcissistic individuals who are able to recognize their narcissistic patterns. They still have those patterns displayed, but they're able to recognize when they have them. And that's more of the shallow levels of narcissism. The other 95%, or even 98% of narcissistic individuals, they're unaware of their narcissistic patterns. They can't see through their lies, their deception, their deceit, their cruelty, their manipulation, their gaslighting. They honestly can't see it. Now, or if they can see it, and I've had this experience as well, because I've worked with individuals. Some of them have narcissistic personality disorder and it's been diagnosed. They're trying to heal it because that's a very shameful thing to have NPD. And so they want to heal it. Their personality wants to heal. Their narcissist personality doesn't want to have this association because a narcissist wants to believe I'm lovable. And if I have this association with this psychological label, then I'm not lovable. So they want to heal it. And they recognize also there's a problem going on in my life. Nothing's working out. So I've seen for myself as I work with individuals, because I'm able to stay in a different energy. I'm not in this dynamic relationship energy trying to get my needs met from this person. I'm instead trying to serve their needs for personal growth. Not their narcissistic needs, but their awakening needs. What I've seen is that sometimes as I'd say something, and maybe all of you, if you've been interacting with narcissists, you've seen this as well. A narcissist who's trying to awaken, if I say something, it registers for a moment. They get it because I can feel their energy body. It receives it. Their emotions respond differently, or a look upon their face will happen. So I might say something in this sort of therapeutic context to a narcissistic personality type, and their face will change and they might feel shame. So if I would call them out on their lie, they're telling me a story about what happened, and I point out, you were dishonest with this individual. The narcissist might have their face flooded with surprise and shame. And I can feel it. I can feel it, that strong emotion in their second chakra, that sadness, because it's oh my God, I did this. And a part of them knows they did it. But then like a second or 2 seconds later, that expression wipes off their face. The energy stops generating in their second chakra. The feeling of sadness leaves their body. And then they come back into this very strong protective energy and a third chakra radiance. No, I'm not like that. No, I didn't do that. And you can feel them actually cut off the feelings of their lower chakras and defend themselves from the solar plexus up. So on this path of awakening, I've seen that my words, my point, what I'm pointing at, it gets through to them. But their psyche can only stay in it for a brief moment until it cuts it off, and the psyche has to resurface in a place not feeling that shame. Because if they feel that shame, they're going to believe that they're not worthy of love. And that's what their childhood self believes and had to cut off. So if you point out a flaw, any perceived flaw to a person with NPD, they're going to feel like it's emotional death. And that's how it felt as a child. And they can't die. And so they cut off that emotional feeling, and then they have to rewrite a story in which they will never have that feeling again. So looking at it like this big examination, this breakdown, this, what's the word I'm looking for? Not a diagnosis, like a diagram of the narcissist personality type, we realize they're still looking for love. The problem is we have to not put our hands in the cage. We have to not expect a dog to fly, and if there's a wild animal in a cage, you don't put your hand in it. It's going to get bit off. So we don't have unrealistic expectations, and that's the biggest problem why people get trapped in these narcissistic relationships. Now, being a child, it's different, right? Being a child of a narcissistic parent is different, but I have worked with a lot of individuals who had narcissistic parents, and they become very, very awakened. Because when we're traumatized from a narcissistic parent, we essentially become one of two types of personalities. We either become the narcissist ourselves, we model our parents in that way, or we become very empathic, very wounded, but we also then get motivated to become great healers. So the wounding in our life becomes a very, very powerful catalyst for ourselves on the spiritual path to become more empathetic, more sympathetic, more focused on energy. It's like if you grow up in a household with an alcoholic, and the alcoholic comes home and is abusive when they're drunk, you learn how to pick up on the signs to recognize, is mom or dad coming home drunk today? If they are, I better stay in my room, or I better be very, very quiet to not upset them. So a child in that volatile environment develops like super senses. The sense of smell, so you can smell the alcohol in someone's breath. Or the feeling of emotion, you can sense, are they angry? What are they going to react with right now? So souls that are more awakened may choose to incarnate into these narcissistic families because it gives them an evolutionary advantage. They're able then to awaken to become very sensitive to energy, to become more aware of their surroundings. So there's a lot of wounding that leads people to the spiritual path. I always thought that if your life is good physically, you have no reason to go deeper into reality. If everything works out well for you, if you're born with a silver spoon in your mouth, you have no reason to pursue spirituality. I realize people who are wealthy have problems as well, but like if you have no suffering, everything was met, perfect, but you're not going to awaken much. There's no catalyst for you to learn and go deeper inside yourself, or there's no challenge in your world to expand to create what you want. So often we will deny our own humanity because we feel ashamed of these different parts of ourselves. And if you're in a narcissistic relationship, the narcissist, in order to trick you, has made you ashamed. So another piece that's important to realize if you're in a narcissistic relationship is the narcissist will try to make you feel guilty. Because if I shouldn't say use myself as an example, if somebody can make you feel guilty, then they can control you. Then they can convince you to believe things. So they gaslight you, they shame you, they make you feel guilty like you're not good enough. And then you keep perceiving the narcissist as better than you, as your master. You need their information, you need their approval, you need their instruction. So if we fall into the trap of being a victim of narcissism, we start developing like insecurity and low self-confidence, confusion, trusting ourselves. And that is an unconscious strategy the narcissists use to keep you dependent on them. So in this example, the narcissist wants you to believe you need the narcissist. You need them because you're not good enough, because you can't do it on your own, because you're always wrong. The narcissist will use gaslighting, lies, manipulation to convince the victim that they need the narcissist. You'll never survive without me. How will you make it without me? You're not good enough. You'll never attract another relationship partner. I'm the only one who will ever love you. So we see this manipulation, this gaslighting, this psychological abuse happen. So being a victim of narcissism, we have to look and say, okay, what am I here to learn? I'm here to learn self-love, self-confidence, decision-making. I have to start to get into my life more and become more independent, because I've often been tricked and trapped into thinking I need this person, that my happiness, my survival even is dependent upon them. The narcissist is a really overinflated ego, strong expression, and they want to feel valued because deep inside they feel worthless. Other thing we notice about narcissists is often they sabotage the good things in their life. So in a relationship, you might try to do good and be good to heal the narcissist, but if the narcissist has this core wound and they don't think they're good enough to be loved, they will unconsciously sabotage any good things in their life. So you might show up and see the good in someone and love them and be perfect for them, and they're still going to mess it up because they can't have that energy in their life. Inside themselves, they don't believe they're worthy of love, so they have to get rid of that vibration of love, and then they'll feel okay. They'll feel like they're themselves again. This is why even in like a healthier and a happier relationship with a narcissist, they'll still lie, cheat, and steal. And for a healthier psychological person, you'll wonder, why are you doing that? Like, I gave you what you wanted. I was kind and caring. I was honest. I trusted you. I did all these wonderful things for you. And a narcissistic individual will still sabotage it in different ways. So by understanding these patterns, we realize we have to get through our own conditioning, because sometimes we want to love everybody in a way that we think we can heal them and fix them. And it's never our responsibility to heal or fix anybody. That's an important part of this higher self healing circle and the higher self prayer circle. We're not here to fix people. We're here to offer something from a greater part of ourselves. We're here to put an energy into reality and allow people to drink of it as they can. It's like we're a well. The well doesn't like force water down your throat. The well doesn't think I have to jump up. The water has to jump up and feed people. No, the well of water just sits there and it says, here, you can drink of me and I'll nourish you. So we can learn to be in these states of unconditional love and be out of the confusion in which we think it's our responsibility to fix people and heal people. So again, what you asked was, how do we help someone like this? It's just this unconditional love coupled with wisdom. And the wisdom is understanding the psychological patterns, trusting what you perceive in your reality to be true and factual, and realizing that the narcissist might not perceive it the same way. So don't battle with them, because you'll never be acknowledged as being right with a narcissist. And you won't be able to have conversations about what's happening in life with a narcissist. They will never go there because there's the risk of shame. They always have to be on top. The last thing that I'll say about this, and this is again something that I believe, a lot of twin flame relationships are just a fancy word for a narcissistic abusive relationship. A narcissist is incredibly good at love bombing and telling you the stories that are going to make you believe that this relationship is a match made in heaven and it's destined, and there's all these past lifetimes and soul connections. And there might be past lifetimes and soul connections, but the reality is that it's not a healthy relationship in this lifetime. And all those lessons from past lifetimes are evolving into this lifetime to be worked through. So as I look at these descriptions of twin flame relationships, the ones that are volatile, the ones in which the people can't stay together, those are oftentimes narcissistic relationships. And in the modern day spiritual world, they love to elevate it, that it's this supreme relationship. And I believe the people elevating it oftentimes are narcissistic individuals themselves. They're the ones selling the idea of twin flames, and they're selling themselves as they're superior in some way because they found their twin flame and it's going to cause them their enlightenment. But if you look at the characteristics of these twin flame relationships, and what you read about online is oftentimes they're extremely volatile. The magnetic attraction, the sexual attraction, the emotional chemistry is so strong, and then it explodes and it's so violent. and it's abusive and it's manipulative, and you can't escape it, right? The relationship's traumatic. One person tries to leave. Nope, the narcissist pulls them back in. And so the narcissist has a lot of strength of energy, because remember, their root chakra should be their healthy foundation, but it's not. They cut that off. It doesn't get the energy flow consciously or subconsciously in a very large way at all. So most of their energy is from their third chakra up. Their second and first chakra aren't receiving that energy. So these are the ones that are very charismatic. Instead of your energy being divided between 7 chakras, now it's only expressing in 5 chakras when it's the narcissist. So these upper chakras get more energy. And the foundational chakra should have a very strong amount of energy, like your root chakra, your security, your connection to your community, your purpose, the knowledge of who you are. A healthy human being has a really strong root chakra. But in the narcissist, their third chakra is mimicking their root chakra. It's acting like it. And so their third chakra is going to have this fullness of energy, being the pseudo foundation of their chakra system and of their psyche. So there'll be love bombing and strong displays, usually a very sexual person or a very charismatic person, very emotionally colorful, very animated. And if you look at the design of the relationship, it feels very powerful in the very beginning. It's like all the fireworks are going off. And then you start to notice these signs that it's manipulative and it's fake, that you were told about their past and it was filled with lies, that they're lying to you right now about what they're doing or where they're going or their income or some other parts of their reality. And then you try to get away, and then they pull you back and they stalk you and they do all sorts of other things because they need you so they feel worthy, like they kept a good relationship. And often cases, you weren't the first one who was told you're a twin flame or you're a soulmate or you're this, special, like perfect love. They said that to every person because they tried to keep them around. They needed that strong attraction, that manipulation to keep people close to them because as a child, they don't believe they're worthy of love. And during their adult life, people kept leaving them because of the abuse that happened. So a lot of the twin flame stuff, if we look at it like psychologically and we compare the descriptions and we notice the actual reality of the dynamic, oftentimes these are narcissistic relationships. And they're over-exaggerated, over-romanticized, and people believe they're superior because they have them. So I've seen a lot of teachers of twin flames say, our twin flame connection is so strong that we couldn't be together in this lifetime. It's like, well, then it's not really a strong connection, is it? Instead, it's a volatile connection. It's powerful, but it's destructive. Because if it was nurturing and loving, it would stay together. If it was so powerful and great and of a higher vibration, you'd still be together because you couldn't find that connection with anybody else. But the reality of these twin flame relationships oftentimes is they fight, they have psychological breakdowns because of the gaslighting and the manipulation and the cheating that happens. And it's not twin flame. A lot of the twin flame stuff I feel is just BS. You don't need anybody to complete you. In fact, nobody can complete you. You are made in the image of God. You are complete already. That's what you're realizing. That's what this human journey is teaching you to remember. Your soul is perfect and complete. Your human self is always going to have imperfections. Let's integrate more of our soul's experience while we're living our life. Yeah. Okay, so I realized I talked for a lot about that, but I think it's a very important topic. There's a lot of narcissism, according to psychological studies, in our reality. Some psychologists say about 25% of human beings have narcissistic personality disorder, or at least strong displays of it. Others I've talked to estimate to be like 60 or 70%. And my understanding is, and I shared this in one of the relationship inner circles where I talked about narcissism a bit, is that we're all on a range and a spectrum. So a narcissistic human being cannot get out of this pattern. They can't recognize it. A healthy human being is going to get angry sometimes. We're going to get afraid sometimes. We're going to be afraid to tell the truth because the truth is going to hurt somebody else. But a healthy human being can differentiate about like this situation. And they can realize if I tell the lie, I'm going to cause more damage than if I told the truth. It's hard to tell the truth because my partner's going to be upset. But if I tell them the truth, it actually creates less suffering for both of us. And so you overcome that resistance to lie, knowing that the greater choice, the greater happiness is the truth. A narcissist can't do that. They uphold the lie. You hold evidence up in front of them, they will deny the evidence ever happened, that it even exists. They're holding on to the lie so much. So this whole aspect of narcissism, like all psychological conditionings, the diagnoses, is that it's a range. So we're all going to step into situations where it's difficult to tell the truth. Sometimes a human being may lie, but it doesn't mean you're a narcissist. It doesn't mean you're trapped in that psychological pattern. Like, we all have narcissistic qualities, selfish qualities, deceitful qualities. How often do we display them is individual, but we all have the possibility of having those. A narcissist is stuck in those. And it makes up this foundational part of their personality because they shut off the lower chakras. So their energy is stuck there. The trauma is stuck there, and no new energy is moving into the present moment to go into those energy centers to really help it out. Yeah, so I'm recording this now, so I'll save this video and do something with it. I think it's a good description of the narcissistic personality type, and it's really helpful. And like I said, for me, I perceive energy, I perceive all the chakras, I can feel what's going on in people that I'm talking to. And so it was really fascinating when I've worked with people or have known people in my life who have some of these characteristics to like understand what's going on in the energy body. And it was the most important realization I had is they can't feel what's going on in those lower chakras. And it's not their fault consciously. It's a trauma that happened in the earliest part of their life. They often don't remember their childhood. They're not aware of what happened. Consciously, they're innocent to the trauma. But a dog can't fly. So the narcissist is going to act like a narcissist. You can't be fooled by that. We don't shame them because that increases the wounding. That's what started the whole problem, was their parents oftentimes shamed them, or something happened in their childhood repeatedly that shamed them. So you don't shame them. And you're more intelligent. You don't stick your hand in the cage. Otherwise, you're going to lose some fingers. You don't expect a dog to fly. It can't. We have to be wise enough to make correct choices, interact in mature ways, and still keep our hearts open, because what every human being's and what they need is love. But it's not a love where we're thinking I have to fix them and heal them, because they might never get healed, and it's not your responsibility. Their soul chose this for reasons we may never know. Even our own experiences, they're happening for reasons we may not know until we get on the other side and we do our life reviews and we see how it all was laid out, and we understand, wow, this is why I chose these difficult events in my life. This is why I firmly believe we should never close our hearts to anyone or anything. And that includes ourselves as well. Like, the spiritual path, I feel, is composed of three very important aspects. So we have love, we also have wisdom, and we also have power. Right? So we're using our intelligence to shape our creative energy, and the unity quality of energy is love, and the transformational quality of energy is power. So this energy of God feels like love as you get into more energy and higher frequencies, higher qualities of energy, but it's also the energy of transformation. It's what changes things. It's how we create here. So the energy feels like love and has power, and we have wisdom. And all this appears in our awareness. So we're awareness, intelligence, and energy. And as a human being, we have to get more wisdom. We have to learn how to use more power and get more power. And we also have to get higher frequency emotion, which moves into love. So we're evolving that whole part. Love without wisdom is not matured enough, because we'll get into these problems where we're trying to love someone to fix them and heal them, and as a result, we're causing harm to ourselves. And wisdom without love is just knowledge. We think we're so wise, but we're not feeling happy. We can do all these things, follow instructions, make money, know what to say to people, but we don't have that real connection that lets us feel love. So as ourselves, we always have to educate, and that's why the work that I do is really based upon that. I'm giving you more energy or helping you to connect with more energy. I'm giving you access, information, and connections to your higher self, which provide more love as well, and the wisdom to help you actually be human. A lot of spiritual systems, they just focus on like blissing out, or they do something else, like the coaching systems gives you a lot of information. But we have to like really merge that together. Let's have the information. Let's understand how life works, and let's be able to feel and access the higher frequencies. It's mind and emotion. And as you know, like the mind, which is the mental centers of your chakras, are up top, the emotional centers are down below, and they mix in your heart, and that's where the wisdom and the love is found. All right. So I gotta go now. I'm like 20 minutes late for my next appointment. But I love talking about this, and I'm glad that I had the opportunity to share this. Thank you so much for asking this question, and I really hope that it helps all of you. So enjoy the rest of your day. We'll close the meeting now, and I look forward to seeing you at the next one I lead, which will be next month. But please do come to all of them each week, because they're really wonderful ways to stay in this higher self energy and keep evolving yourself and supporting mankind. All right, I'll see you guys later. Thanks for attending.